Welcome to One True Champion. Joined by Wendell Barnhouse, I'm Kristen. This past weekend in college football was upset central, with top teams like Oregon, Alabama, and Oklahoma getting beat. On Saturday morning during ESPN's College Game Day, guest judge Katy Perry picked the Sooners to beat TCU and gave a special shout out to OU quarterback Trevor Knight. Wendell, did Katy Perry curse the Sooners?
Well, I saw an upset and I liked it. Maybe there is a Katy curse, and if so, Big 12 quarterbacks are going to have to hope that she goes back to singing and costume changes. Now, let's get serious. For one day, TCU was good enough. They get another chance to prove how good they are Saturday at number 5 Baylor. And don't count Oklahoma out. There are just 9 undefeated teams left among the power conferences and about 24 teams with just 1 loss. I think with over half the season left to play, it's pretty obvious that there's a good chance that there could be 4 one-loss teams in the playoffs. So OU right now, they're in pretty good shape, but their margin for error is 0.
That brings us to our fact of the week. In the last 14 meetings between OU and TCU, the Horned Frogs have never scored more than 20 points.
Well, on Saturday, TCU had 21 points early in the second quarter. They finished with 37, almost twice as many as they'd ever scored against OU. And I think somebody said last week to keep an eye on the quarterback play. Well, TCU's Trevon Boykin had 395 yards in total offense for the Frogs. I think this new offense is a perfect fit for his ability to run and pass. The Frogs now seem to have a Big 12 quality offense to go along with a Big 12 quality defense.
Speaking of high scoring, Baylor, the league's highest scoring offense, got the win over Texas but failed to score until the third quarter. In fact, their only score in the first half was from a blocked field goal return.
Well, you know, this offense really did fizzle against Texas, but they managed to do some scoring with their special teams, and they won this game with defense. Now, they've won all their games by at least 21 points. None of the other undefeated teams can say that. The Bears beat Texas, like I said, in a complete fashion. Now, what will be fascinating to watch this Saturday against TCU, will Baylor be able to get it back on track, or are they going to have to win another slugfest?
The Bears weren't the only ones off on Saturday, though. Quarterback Dax Garman threw 2 interceptions on Oklahoma State's way to a win over the Cyclones.
The Cowboys are struggling to run the ball, and that's kind of leading to some slow starts. Mike Gundy's best teams have averaged over 5 yards per carry. This year, they're only averaging 3.9 per attempt. If they don't balance things out between the run and the pass, I think it's going to bite them later in the season. Now, the big play against the Cyclones was the second half opening kickoff. Tyreek Hill took it 97 yards to the house.
Being a former track and field athlete myself, I love the way Tyreek Hill crosses that goal line. Another one of my favorite touchdowns from the weekend comes from the Kansas State-Texas Tech game.
Well, senior wide receiver Curry Sexton had an unbelievable one-handed touchdown catch for the Wildcats against Texas Tech, and it appears that K-State coach Bill Snyder would like to be a producer for the worldwide leader in Bristol because he made a pitch for Sexton making the top 10 plays on Saturday, and he wound up being number 3.
That's going to be the, don't they have a, what is it? Tell me the show. The top 10 plays of the day, is that what it is? That better make it. That better make it.
Also on Saturday, West Virginia got the win over Kansas at home, but not before giving up 2 touchdowns to the Jayhawks.
Well, they gave up 14 points, but they also forced Kansas to punt 14 times. Now, that's the same number of punts that Kansas State has attempted all season. Now, for West Virginia, it was just a grind it out, get it over with victory.
Here's a look at the Big 12 rankings going into Week 7. Now, Wendell, which of these teams have a shot at winning the Big 12 and making it to the playoffs?
Well, Baylor moved up to number 5, and Art Briles said Monday that it really doesn't mean anything, and he's right. Just consider everybody kind of on the injured list and day to day, or really week to week. If TCU wins at Baylor Saturday, the Frogs will be probably number 5 or higher. Now, the second half of the season, maybe we won't have a week as crazy as the last one with 6 of the top 10 teams losing, but there are 9 weeks and plenty of upset possibilities remaining.
That's it for One True Champion. For Wendell Barnhouse, I'm Kristen. We'll see you next week.